Heather Zykowski, the babe with the power, and coming up next on WAYO LP Rochester is The Sound of Tomorrow, where we might have some hot picks. We might be talking about COVID if we get to it. We got some stuff on AI, and everybody's favorite, we've got some gay stuff. But first...
I knew it!
Knew what? Ooh, is it that veggie dogs are actually just corn dogs with all the corn parts on the inside? Because I have always suspected.
What? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm a dog fancier, but scarcely a hot dog fancier. Wiener composition is hardly my area of expertise.
Not what I heard.
What?
What?
Okay, back to the topic at hand. It is time to come clean, Heather.
About what?
Would you care to explain this?
It's a half-used roll of toilet paper?
But not just any kind of toilet paper.
Is it the kind from my bathroom? The kind that you slip into your purse whenever you're at my house and you think that I don't notice?
Don't try to distract me with your scurrilous accusations.
Hardly scurrilous. Last time you were here, you yelled, "I'm taking some toilet paper, okay, hon?" And I was like, "I'd prefer if you didn't." And you were like, "Stop being homophobic." And I was like, "Huh?" But then I just let it go because really, it's just toilet paper.
And good thing you did too, because it allowed me to uncover your dirty little secret. Look more closely at this toilet roll. Anything noticeable about the brand?
It's Charmin, I think. What?
Charmin, the brand preferred by notorious drag queen Charmin LaCloud.
What are you getting at?
You, Heather, are clearly Penfieldian drag queen and occasional Sound of Tomorrow guest star Charmin LaCloud. J'accuse!
McHughes?
You cues!
Ross, that's ridiculous.
Just think about it, Heather. You share a brand of toilet paper.
Lots of people use Charmin.
Never seen you two together in the same place.
Well, I've never seen you in the same room with Kylie Minogue. Doesn't mean you're her.
I could be, honestly. I've got the moves as well, like she does. But let's look at the other evidence. Charmin LaCloud favors gowns made of toilet paper, or papier toilette, as she refers to it, and you have toilet paper hanging out of the back of your pants.
Oh, do I? Well, that's a one-time accident.
No, literally all the time. It's like a wedding train made out of toilet paper. You're known for it, actually.
Noted and corrected. What else you got?
Oh, just this video of you changing into a Charmin LaCloud ensemble a couple of months ago.
Okay, Ross, that was cosplay. It was for TPCon in Fresno. Remember?
You went to a toilet paper convention? Really? That Charmin LaCloud just happened to be performing at? Likely story.
Ugh. Just because a girl buys the same type of toilet paper as her favorite drag queen and makes fabulous gowns like her out of the same toilet paper and also goes to conventions that she happens to be at in a gorgeous Papier Toilette creations and also always has toilet paper hanging off of her doesn't mean that they're the same person.
You see where I'm coming from, though.
I'm maybe a little.
This is not over with, Heather. Or should I call you Charmin?
Dun dun dun.
Perfect.
Papier Toilette.
Papier Toilette.
I like that.
Okay. What happens now? I know. Hey, everybody. I'm Ross Johnson, your favorite co-host.
And I'm Heather Zykowski. Welcome to The Sound of Tomorrow on WAYO LP Rochester.
That's 104.3. It's 104.3 ways to charm and delight and entertain you.
That's right. And
we're actually the 0.3.
I was just going to say, yeah, we're only 0.3 of that.
Right.
Everybody else makes up the 104.
Correct. That's all right, though.
Yeah, 0.3 is better than 0.00, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's what you had before.
That's right. Hey, Ross, I got my WAYO fundraiser perks.
Did you? What'd you get?
I'm now the proud owner of a WAYO windbreaker.
A WAYO windbreaker?
A WAYO windbreaker, which I had prominently displayed on a coat hook out in my foyer, but then I put away in the coat closet. So I'm imagining I will never see it again.
Oh, I forgot to get my perks again this year, so I'm just giving that. I'm
Russ.
feeding that back into Wayo.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's like when when you do like the WXXI
No,
fundraiser, and
it's
they're like,
not.
do you want a perk? And you're like, no, I don't. And then they just keep the money, and you're like, I have done extra for. So it's like, who cares about Wayo more, you or me? Probably me.
I mean, me, because I advertise them around town when I wear my Wayo beanie.
Me, because I'm too lazy to pick up my stuff.
I also
So
got a
that,
Wayo baseball cap.
what are you gonna do with
Dad,
that?
dad hat, they call him, right?
I think it depends. If it's like a flat brim, it's not a dad hat. But if it's like a curvy brim, it's a dad hat.
Oh, I think it's a flat brim. So it's just a baseball cap. I am, you know what I'm not going to do?
What are you not gonna do?
I'm not going to play baseball.
You could play baseball.
No, I can't.
Why not?
Terrible anxiety.
I think what would the anxiety be?
So, wait, I haven't told you of this trauma of my past.
Oh my god. There's a new one. Okay, sure.
So, when I was young, my sister played a softball sport called Pixie League.
Okay.
And so it was one of those like, oh, well, your sister played Pixie League. Obviously, you'll also play Pixie League. And I don't like to have things thrown at me.
Hmm.
So that was hard enough.
Sure.
Um, and B, the anxiety about being able to hit the ball was crushing.
Oh, honey.
I know. I would gladly join one of those adult kickball leagues.
Okay. But then there'd still be stuff coming at you.
For some reason, if it's more toward the ground, that's fine.
Okay.
It's just when it's coming at my face.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought about taking a boxing class, but I didn't.
We should take boxing.
Okay, I wasn't inviting you, but um that's you want to insinuate yourself in that? Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
That would be great.
Yeah. It seemed so uncharacteristic. Like it seemed like such a not a me thing that I was like, maybe it's my time to do not me things, you know?
Yes.
Like a sport, that's a sport, right?
That's
It's a,
absolutely a
it's the
sport.
sport of kings, I think.
I
Is
thought
that a
that
different
was
sport?
jousting. Is that jousting or is
maybe
it
I'll
bowling?
maybe I'll take a jousting class.
I don't want to take a jousting class.
Our friend Chris Fanning, who used to be on the show 2 shows after us, but I don't think he is anymore. He took a fencing lesson, so you can do
That's
fencing as
fun.
well. Super
Well,
fun.
you are famously a fencer.
I was a champion fencer for
Yes.
not that long. I was a champion fencer until it's expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine. All
And it
that
was,
gear.
yeah, like it was doable in college when I could borrow the gear, but then also there was sort of a limit to how far you could progress on like the basic borrowed gear. So it just,
Did you
I'm
need
sure.
better epées?
No, I did not do epée. I would need a better foil is what I would have done.
Oh, you had a foil and not an epée.
I had a foil and not an epée. That's correct. You could also have a saber, which I also did not have.
All
So,
right, I gotcha.
but yeah, I was pretty good at it, which is weird because you know what it is? I think like I'm not that fast and my reflexes aren't that good, but I'm good at being like maybe this is similar to you, like being afraid of things flying at you. I'm good at something's coming at me. So I think I very quickly got good at like, there's a sword coming at me. Here, let me do the thing that keeps that away. So I think I think I was good at it for that reason. I think I have very good reflexes about like, don't touch me. So
You know, that I do understand how that might work.
Mhm.
Like you weren't necessarily on the attack, but when someone was coming at you, you were very good at like, get away from me.
Yeah. And then like you have to be a little good at the attack too, otherwise you never get anywhere, you know, but
Interesting. So maybe you and Chris Fanning could go fencing sometime.
maybe we could. Maybe we
I
could
guess maybe you also don't go fencing.
go
I
a
mean,
fencing.
I mean, it might not be like go boating.
Like a date, like
Yeah.
a fencing date. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Chris Fanning
Yeah,
and
I'm
I will go on a
suggesting
fencing
it.
date.
Maybe you will.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll be jealous.
I know you will. I know you will. You just, especially since I skipped our boxing date for.
I know. To go fencing with Chris Fanning.
Yeah.
Boy, oh
Heather,
boy.
I have a problem.
What's your problem?
This is a stupid reading problem. You want to hear about it, and then we'll move on.
What is it? What's going on?
I love me some Octavia Butler.
Yes.
So, but there are still books of Octavia Butler's that I have not read because, and I've sort of saved them. But then I was like, you know what? I'm so old and my memory's so bad. I might as well just like not save anything at this point. Like I might as well just read it and then I'll forget. Like I'll forget the first one because she's got like over a dozen books and a bunch of short stories.
Yes.
So it's not like I think I've decided I don't need to like hang on to anything anymore. And so she's got this series she's got this series of which I've read none of them. There are 4 or 5 books if you include the one that's out of print, which I only have like a PDF copy of that she didn't really like and she didn't really want people to read, but I'm going to read it anyway. So in the collection I have, tell me if you have, and we have readers among our audience. I'm bringing this up because it's stupid, but I feel like we have a lot of readers in our audience who will relate to this. Ready? Here's my problem.
I'm
So
ready.
in the collection I'm reading, the series is arranged like in universe chronology. So it starts in like 1692 or whatever and then like moves on. But then after I had read the first one, I realized that was actually like the 3rd or 4th book
Oh,
in like publication order.
right.
And now what do I do? Because I already read the one. And this collection came out after she died. Because I was like, I mean, normally I would always go with the publication order, but then I was like, okay, maybe I can justify the fact that I've done this if that's the order she really wanted, but I can't prove that or not, and there's no way to ask her at this point. You know.
Right.
So,
Shoot. Okay, so is there anywhere you can look up what the order should be?
well, I have, and the Octavia Butler website says
Yeah.
like this order that it is in the collection, but
Okay.
I don't buy it.
I
I don't because like I don't like why would you read like so like with the Narnia books, like
Mhm.
the collection I have comes in the same thing. It's like chronological. They're numbered
Yes,
in
and mine are
chronological order.
numbered. Yeah.
And they're numbered in not in publication order. And there's stuff in there where like there's stuff in there where it messes it up. Like they're strongly encouraging you to read it in like chronological in universe order and not publication order, but then there's stuff that happens where it's set up. There's stuff that's set up that you then go back and learn about, but it clearly wasn't meant to be read that way. You know, like with the Star Wars movies. So if you watch Star Wars and you watch Empire Strikes Back, and then you learn that Luke is it's a big reveal. Oh my God,
Oh, is
he's my
this a
father.
spoiler?
Darth Vader's my
Whoa!
father.
Whoa! Ross just spoiled Star Wars.
But then they did like prequels where it's like Darth Vader is a baby. We already
Right.
know he's going to grow up to be Darth Vader. So if you watch the prequels first, then it ruins that reveal before, even though they're in
Right.
so it doesn't like, I don't know. But now, so my problem is, I don't know, like, do I just keep going this way or do I jump back into the publication order? I don't know. I feel like I can't be the only one who would be made insane by this.
Yeah, no. I feel like I would go with the order on the website. I would trust that whoever curates the website has some knowledge of the author's intent, even though
See,
apparently author intent doesn't matter, like once the author puts out the book, whether the author is living or dead.
yeah, but I feel like they just say that on the website because it's this order in that collection. So I'm not convinced that any real thought went into that.
Did you check Wikipedia or anything?
Yeah, it didn't say anything, and there was some discussion on Reddit about it where people were mostly
Yeah.
like, I mean, and people were mostly like, it doesn't matter all that much. Don't worry too much about it. So I'm probably not going to worry too much about it,
Okay.
but I think I'm going to jump back into publication order. Especially since since it's like the 4th book that I'm reading that I just read. It's
Right.
weird to like go back to I don't know, so it doesn't make any sense, but this is the kind of thing that drives me nuts. And like I said, and this was a thing with the Narnia books because the stupid order in the collection where they're numbered is not the publication order and it doesn't work. There's stuff that gets set up that then you go back and learn more about. But if you learn more about the thing first and then it gets set up later, It doesn't
Oh, okay,
like it
yes.
doesn't jibe, like, oh, let me introduce you to Heather. And then like we go back and learn Heather's child, Heather's the evil witch. Oh my God, she's killing us all. It's terrible. And then you
Oh
go back
my
and you learn.
gosh, Ross just spoiled the Narnia series.
I was actually spoiling your life. Um, but
That's
then we
great.
go
Oh, were
back
you
and we
waiting for me
learn.
to yell? I'm sorry.
Then we go back and we learn Heather's backstory of when she was a child and how
Yes, and
everything
how
was,
she became the
how
Wicked
she became an
Witch.
evil witch. But if you
Yeah.
start with like Heather as a child, you don't like. Why do I care? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
nobody that's what everybody said.
Right.
Hence my my form I'm currently evolving into of
Correct.
evil witch.
More evil,
Yeah, because everybody
more
said like,
witch.
"Oh, little Heather, why do I care?"
Right.
I
Exactly.
mean, so
Yeah.
so if you want the long and
Smart.
short of my origin story.
Smart. So that's all I got to say about that. But that's my latest
Interesting.
reading dilemma.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Are any of those Octavia Butler books, or Narnia books, or me and my evolution toward evil witchhood, are any of those your hot picks?
No. No. Do you want to do hot picks?
Yes.
Sure. Well, Octavia Butler's always a hot pick, of course. Although I would recommend, I'm going to do an Octavia Butler hot. I'm going to do 3 Octavia Butler hot picks in case anyone's listening to me talking about Octavia Butler and wants to know about Octavia Butler. I would recommend starting with, if you're going to pick up Octavia Butler, I would probably read Parable of the Sower. I would probably start there. It's very timely, even though she died like 20 years ago.
And I'm
Um,
assuming this is not a parable of the seamstress. This is parable of the seed planter.
the seed planter, yes. Very astute. You could also start with Kindred, which is also excellent. And I started with Dawn, which is also great. So any of those 3, but I would probably, Dawn's a little more science fiction-y. So if you want something like more like, it's science fiction, that's the one to go for. But if you want something a little, that's not so heavy science fiction, I would say Parable of the Sower or possibly Kindred. So that's that's a hot pick. But I have you know what? I'm gonna throw in a very random hot pick. So I watched a film which is, I don't
Ooh.
know if it's on streaming. Let me see real quick. Let me vamp about this while I'm looking this up just for people. So it's called Someone's Watching Me.
Ooh.
Watching Me. And
Okay,
you can
Rockwell.
rent it. You can rent it for like $2. So you can rent it from the normal streaming rental places for like $2. So it's a TV movie from the 70s. What's fun about it? It's directed by John Carpenter, who's somebody I was like. It's a mild thriller. It's a TV movie 70s thriller. There's a woman who moves into a new apartment, and she's an executive at a TV station, and she's an independent woman. She knows what she's doing. She can take care of herself. But there's a creepo that's in the building across the way that's like keeping an eye on her, and he's sort of stalking her, and it's scary. So she's like, she's tough and independent. She can take care of herself, but it's a little scary. But she's got a friend played by Adrienne Barbeau, who I love always and everything. And Adrienne Barbeau is a big old lesbian, which is just, I feel like I was looking this up and I cannot find another. I cannot find like an earlier. There were like a couple of gay men in sitcoms and like the Norman Lear things. I could not find another lesbian like an overt, not over, I don't know if overt's the right word. That sounds like vaguely threatening,
Yeah,
but
it kind of does.
um
She was overtly lesbian.
like a not just lesbian subtext, but like, hey, I'm a lesbian. I
Yeah,
don't think she says, hey, I don't think that's a line of dialogue,
that
but
wasn't.
I don't think
That
this,
sounds like a line of dialogue we'd write.
but she's very specifically like somebody, like the main woman played by Lauren Hutton is like, oh, is that, and what about you? Do you have a boyfriend or whatever? And she was like, girlfriend. And Lauren Hutton like takes a second, and then she's like, oh, okay. I can't think of another. I could not think of an earlier instance on broadcast television of like an out, like I'm a gay woman. And again, not just that's like subtextual or you could kind of read into it, but like a person just tells other characters and the audience that she's gay. And I feel like that is a milestone that I didn't really know about until I had seen this movie. So Someone's Watching Me If anyone's interested, it's a fun, like if you have the type of patient, if you have the type of brain for 70s TV movie thriller, it's very good. I mean, it's very good in that genre. So, I mean, that's a very specific, you know, not everyone's going to pick up a TV movie from the 1970s for fun, as I would, clearly. But I thought it was really neat, and I feel like Adrienne Barbeau deserves more credit for that. And John Carpenter, who wrote and directed the movie. So I
Nice.
have more, but I'll turn it over to you.
I know because I do have one, and it's related to one that you brought to this very program that we discussed last week, The Midnight Club.
Love it.
So I was talking about that with someone some weeks ago, just the whole like, oh, what are you watching on TV now? And they said, oh, that was good. I liked Midnight Mass better. It's by the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Midnight Mass?
I have not seen Midnight Mass yet.
Wow. Wow. I just finished it. It's a very short run. It's like
Mhm.
7 episodes. So it doesn't take up, I think I binged it in, 5 days or something.
Okay.
Because I really couldn't stop watching. It was incredibly compelling.
Yeah.
And it
Good.
had a lot of the same actors from the Midnight Club. And then I just happened to, because I wanted to fact check that because it was just oh, yeah, it's by the same guy. I wanted to make sure that the person who told me that was actually correct. So I looked it up, and it turns out like Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor and everything are also the same guy.
Yeah, and Mike Flanagan, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I have liked everything he's
Yeah.
like everything that I've ever seen that he's ever done.
Well, the thing with me,
And I haven't seen
and
everything, but
Midnight Mass was at times much too gory for me.
okay.
I needed to deploy my violence screen, which is when I put my hand out in front of me to cover the screen and I
Sure.
peek between my fingers just a little bit to be sure like it's safe for me to take my screen down.
Yeah.
So there were, for like a chicken like myself, some pretty upsetting things,
Mhm.
but it was worth it for the story.
Our friend Joseph. Well, see, I don't know if this would work for you because with something like that, I feel like you don't necessarily want to know everything that would happen. Like our friend Joseph has watched a couple of the little with the in cooperation with the Anomaly Film Festival, which is a great bunch of people,
Oh,
has been doing Giallo January, which is
yes.
and so he gets by, and he doesn't love all the violence either, although the two we've seen together have not been too they've not been too the first one was definitely like not I think even you could have handled the first one. The second one a little less so, but not terrible. But he just basically like reads all about the movie so he knows like when to be concerned.
Yeah, that I sure as heck wouldn't want to know.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of good things. Like Midnight Mass, the only thing I can really tell you is a new preacher comes to town
Mm-hmm.
and things happen. Like that's,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about any kind of a thriller in the broadest
right.
sense is like you kind of want to be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. Because had I known everything that happened,
Mm,
I'm not even sure how much I would have cared about watching since I already knew the story.
right.
Because I was watching it for the story and the acting and the scenes and everything. Like it was very beautiful to look at. There's a lot to see.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't like spoilers.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. I have not seen anything of his, and there's stuff that I haven't seen everything, but I have not seen a single thing of his that I haven't really loved. There was a movie called Hush from I think 2016 that he did with Kate Siegel and it was I you know my I don't know I don't know what deaf people thought about this movie. I did not with what knowledge I have of the deaf community, which is a little above average, but obviously not the same as a deaf person. I didn't have any issues with it, so I always, whenever there's like a movie that deals with disability, I always feel like I have to preface it like it didn't seem problematic to me, but I don't know. So, but it was essentially a deaf woman in a cabin in the woods, a deaf writer and there's a stalker who is like stalking her through the cabin in the
Oh,
woods.
wow.
Um, but I mean, really well done, and definitely not. Obviously, her being deaf is part of the plot, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not exploitative in the sense of like, oh, look at this deaf lady. Oh, she's so scared because she's deaf. Oh my goodness. It was very, the character was extremely competent and reasonable, and capable of taking care of herself, even though she couldn't hear.
Yeah.
So, and that was the first thing of his that I think I saw, and I was very impressed with that. And that's something I don't think it was gory. Um,
Interesting.
I recall.
Yeah, because
So
I'm gonna watch some of his other TV shows.
yeah.
There are like Netflix shows or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, along those lines of mentioning representation of deaf people on mainstream TV, on this most recent season of The Circle, one of the contestants is a deaf woman. And it was great because she said, like, she really wanted to be on The Circle to represent the deaf community
Yeah.
and to show that yes, she's deaf, but she's also a person who does things, who's cool and funny and dateable and sweet. And she really she was there. Well, sorry, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen The Circle. Feel free to yell, Heather spoiled The Circle. She gets pretty far.
Okay.
Like she's very popular and she plays a very good game and she's completely beloved. And it's just kind of cool that she was so open about like, I'm here because I want to show you that deaf people are more than just deaf.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
her a lot.
Yeah. And any kind of disability representation like that is a good, because we've talked so many times about how, the infantilizing or you have one character trait and it's that you're
Mm-hmm.
deaf, like that sort of thing. So it's nice to see fully, people allowed to be fully human.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And it was good.
I
That might be another hot pick. You know I love The Circle.
I could give you another. I could give you two more hot picks
All
actually.
right, do it.
One is, since we're doing TV, I'll do this one. This one is like, I'm not 100% sure about this, but it's a warm plus pick. We talked about how I fell in love with the Interview with the Vampire show.
Oh yeah, I wanted
Um,
to watch that.
yeah, but you didn't because
And
you're a jerk.
no, I just can't get any more services. I can't handle it.
I know.
I
I know, honey.
can't. I
I
just
know, honey.
can't. I
Because you have
just
the one.
can't.
I understand. And
I've got more
so
than the one. I've got too many. It's too many. I
you've got
can't.
two. I know. It's hard. It's very challenging.
I've
Um,
got at least 3.
what's your third one?
Prime.
Oh, okay. Oh, but you don't have that for the shows. You don't watch anything on Prime. That doesn't count.
I do.
What do you watch on Prime?
Well, right now I'm watching Drag Race on Prime.
Okay. Is it on Prime? The
I
current?
bought it on Prime.
Oh, well, you could buy it without having Prime. That doesn't count. That does not count at all. I'm not
No,
counting
I
Prime.
do watch stuff on Prime sometimes. It's not my primary source,
Mm.
though.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that qualifies.
No.
But because I guarantee you wouldn't have that if it weren't for the shipping.
No, probably not. But I have definitely watched programs on
All right,
Prime.
fine.
And movies and all that junk.
But the spinoff, I don't know if it's a spinoff. Mayfair Witches has come out. So this was the next Anne Rice show. It is not the instant slam. So there have been 2 episodes and there's a 3rd episode that's out that I haven't seen yet, but it is not the instant slam dunk for me that Interview with the Vampire was. Like, Interview with the Vampire was like revelatory. That was like
It's your
the
prejudice against witches.
It's true. It's true. I mean,
Everybody knows.
I mean, I guess if you're gonna plunk me down in front of a show about sexy gay vampires or some witches, and then I was like, oh, I kind of like the vampire one better, I guess that would not be a shock to people. So maybe you might be right there. I will say that's a
I
positive.
know how you feel about witches.
But I'm into it. It's it's like I said, it's early days. It's not the instant slam dunk for me that Interview with Vampire was, but the I've seen a lot of complaints online about uh diverging from the book text, but I read them so long ago that I don't remember any of
I
that. What I do remember
know.
is that the main character is sort of exactly what I remember picturing from the book. So I feel like that part was well cast, and I
Is
feel like
that
the
with
rest is.
Rowan? Is
Mhm.
that okay? All right. Wow, I can't believe I remember even that.
I'm proud of you.
I
So
know.
I'm gonna say that's a hot-ish pick, maybe TBD. But the other one I'll say is a hot pick that is very. This is not gonna be for anybody, but we went to see Skinamarink. Skinamarink. It's a movie. It's a This is a. It's one of those extremely low budget type things that has become sort of a. I mean, you can't say blockbuster, but just is like performing well outside of its weight class.
Okay.
Um, it is. So I didn't know a lot about it going in, and I feel like that was actually a little bit of a mistake. So I will give you the basic outline of what it is, which is, so there's the filmmaker whose name I don't have in front of me, and you're just gonna have to look it up. That's fine. Is a has a like a podcast or something where he does, like, people send in their childhood nightmares, and he makes a little like short films out of them. So this
Oh.
is sort of the feature length version of that. And it is like nothing I've ever seen. I mean, literally, it is the most. I mean, it is completely experimental. It is very. I almost want to say off-putting, but not in a terrible way. But I mean, people have walked out, and I think somebody walked out of the showing that we were in, um, because it's all sort of, it's filmed in sort of grainy, and it's all filmed from like it's sort of short scenes, and it's from the point of view of the two child characters. But what it does, and you're watching it, and it really took a long, like I said, which is why I almost wish I knew I had, like, if I'm not sure if I want to see a movie, I'll sort of look up stuff about it to see, like, do I want to see this? But in this case, it was, somebody was like, hey, I'm going to this movie, you want to go with me? And I was like, sure. And at that point, I'm
Uh-huh.
like, I'll just go in cold. I'm going regardless, so it doesn't matter. So I did that. Um, and it's it's a very disorienting movie. So if anybody's seeing it, I might recommend like learning a little bit about it, because like I said, for a long time it was like, I don't, I, you're just, you're just waiting for the normal beats of a movie to happen. And they just never happen. And it's very, so it's definitely disorienting in that regard. But the thing about it is, and I couldn't stop thinking about it leaving it, the sense of like childhood tension, like you're 4, 5, 6 years old, maybe you're home alone, or maybe there's just like, it's that, like a house at night,
Mm-hmm.
and you're, maybe you're asleep, maybe you're dreaming, maybe you're half awake, maybe you have to get up to go to the bathroom, and just that feeling of sort of nebulous tension and discomfort and disorientation. I don't remember having that until watching this movie, and then I was like, oh yeah, that is exactly what that was like. So
Wow.
it's really fascinating, and like I said, it's very, um it's disorienting, and like I said, it's a little off-putting. It's probably not a wrong word, and not necessarily a word you want to use when
Huh.
recommending a movie. But like I said, I left, and Mike was feeling the same thing, like just that sense of, that feeling of being a child and being kind of scared, or being,
Wow.
it of not necessarily anything in particular, really captured it. And it was a feeling, like I said, that I didn't even know still existed inside of me. So very impressive. And it's, like I said, it's one that's doing very well, considering it was, it's a, like, very very low budget type situation that I think was never intended to be like a major theater release situation. So
Are you going to go and see Megan?
I want to see Meg. I feel so out of the zeitgeist not having seen Megan yet. I
I
feel like,
need to see Megan. I think I'm going to see Megan this week.
can you handle Megan?
I don't know,
Okay.
but I feel like this one I have to.
All right.
Like, I don't know how gory it gets.
Yeah, I don't either.
Hopefully not very. Because I know, like, The last horror movie I saw in the theater was Get Out.
Okay.
And I just knew I had to see that because like it
Hmm.
was such an important movie. And I went with a friend who was kind enough to, when it did get too scary, um, both hold my hand and let me know when it was okay to look again.
Okay.
So with any luck, this will be a similar situation, and I'll have somebody there who can help me out if I get too scared. But I've just heard it's so darn funny.
I'd be like, no, look now. It's fine. Look
See,
now.
why we don't go to movies together very often,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a problem. Um,
But yeah, I do want to go see Megan.
and I've been to movies with you since Get Out, so that was not the last movie you saw in a theater.
No, the last horror
Oh,
movie.
the last horror movie. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
I've been better. I've seen some movies.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I feel, and I've already got movie plans this week, so I probably won't get to see it soon. But I feel like they were even on It's Been a Minute, the NPR show. They were talking all about Megan this morning, and I was like,
See,
I am so out of the loop on this. And I mean, this was, and Megan, especially as a gay boy, I mean,
well, that's
people have been
yes,
talking about Megan for months.
right.
Like people were talking about Megan before I even knew what they were talking about.
Yes, and I've known about it because I listen to a lot of podcasts where gay people are hosts.
Sure.
And they've been talking about Megan. They're going to go see Megan. Oh my God, they saw Megan. Oh, they're going to see Megan again. Does this other friend want to come in with them when they come and see Megan again? So that's where I got it in my head. Like all of these people that I think are funny and I love to listen to them,
Hmm.
they're going wild for this movie. I think I've got to see it.
Yeah, I will have to get to it as well. This week I'm going to the last film in the January Jello festival at the Little, so I can probably won't be able to see it
Excellent.
this week. Yeah. The very queer recent movie Knife Plus Heart, or Knife and Heart. I'm not sure how you're supposed to say it, but that's what I will be doing then. So if anybody's at that, come say hi, but don't be scary because it's a scary movie. So don't be like run up on me
Yeah.
or anything. But just
No,
say
don't
hi.
ever do that. That would be
No,
terrible.
terrifying.
Yeah, are we almost done with hot picks here? Because I've got one more.
I think so. I think that's it for me. I have some old ones, but I think I'm just gonna. I think it's enough. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, my friend Adam just started a podcast called Noise Appreciation 101.
Okay.
Or maybe it's just called Noise Appreciation. I'm not even sure. No, it's Noise Appreciation 101. Sorry, I was just looking at the Spotify. It's on Spotify. It's good. It's fun. I think I'm going to be on it pretty soon.
Very nice. What's it?
Yeah,
Is it just a? What's it about?
it is 6 songs.
Okay.
So far, Adam's curated 2 of the shows himself and then had a guest curator for episode 3. And people play the songs and then talk about them.
Okay.
So it's mainly appreciating the noise.
There
It's
is it
good.
like particular genre or like what's the what are the
No. One of them was a theme that was like music we learned from exes.
okay.
And one of them was a general intro, like, here are some songs I like. And then the guest curator brought songs that he liked.
Very good.
Me, when I'm on, you know how I do my thing. So mine will be love songs
Oh,
because that's what I do.
it's gonna be songs about how you love me.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, it's going to be all ukulele covers where
Don't bring
instead
me
of
into
saying
this then.
like, instead of saying, I love you, I say, I love Ross. Sometimes if there's enough syllables, I say, I love my favorite co-host, Ross Johnson.
That's that's a really hard. That's like, I mean, asking me to choose between like you aggrandizing me versus but doing it on a ukulele. I don't. That is like that is the type of choice you're faced with by the devil at a crossroads. Like
Well,
it's just
I believe we've discussed me reaching my full form. So there's a
yeah.
little taste of it.
You're just trying to punish me for not liking witches.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. Noise Appreciation 101. If I do get to be on the show, I'll probably mention that happened on this very show.
Very
So there
good.
may be some follow up.
Speaking of gay stuff, I don't know how gay that is, but okay, Heather. So you want to do some heavy stuff?
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because fun time's over,
I thought we were
everybody.
keeping it light, but no, we're done. Okay.
We're done. We're done. It's enough.
Okay.
It's
All
enough
right.
playtime.
Okay,
Here
fine.
on
All
here on
right. Let's get
here on
serious. Let's get grim.
here on WAYO 104.3 FM Rochester, where the grim stuff happens.
Yeah, let's get grim.
Um,
Let's get grim with Ross and Heather.
so the I'm gonna I'll try to keep this as light as I can, but it's not. It's kind of infuriating actually. So the Trevor Project, who you people are probably aware of, right?
Yeah.
Trevor Project is I don't know what's the short version. So they're basically a anti, they're a pro queer youth organization. I mean, specifically their number one thing is to reduce teen suicide among queer, you know.
Right. Like it's kind of an outreach group and a helpline.
Yeah. So they've conducted a new poll, and you can go to their website and look at the details. I mean, it's all fine as far as I could tell. I won't go into the breakdown of the poll or whatever. But this was LGBTQ plus youth ages 13 to 24. So and they asked a bunch of questions about sort of related to sort of a state of mind, especially given all of the there have been 150 anti-LGBTQ bills that have either been, passed, introduced, or gotten ready to be filed just this year across the country. So in various states. So that is, so it's not a great,
Yeah.
time in
It
that
doesn't
way.
feel good. It
Yeah,
really
it doesn't
doesn't
feel
feel
great.
good being legislated against. I, as a woman, can attest to that.
And and bear in mind, a lot of queer people are women. So,
Oh, absolutely. But that, I do have
so
some
those,
basis for saying it doesn't feel good.
yep. So, among the key findings, 86% of transgender and non-binary youth say that recent debates about state laws restricting the rights of transgender people have negatively impacted their mental
Of
health.
course they have.
A majority of those trans youth, 55%, said it impacted their mental health very negatively.
Well, of course.
71% of LGBTQ youth, including 86% of trans and non-binary youth, say state laws restricting the rights of LGBTQ young people have negatively impacted their mental health. And then this one, I think, is, well, they're all, they're all on point. But 75% of LGBTQ youth, including 82% of transgender and non-binary youth, say that threats of violence against LGBTQ spaces, such as community centers, pride events, drag shows, or hospitals and clinics that serve transgender people, often give them stress or anxiety.
Yeah.
Nearly half of those LGBTQ youth reported it gives them stress or anxiety very often. And I bring this up, and there's other stuff too. There's other stuff about people who experienced cyberbullying or lost contact with family members. There's all sorts of stuff. None of it's great. And I bring this up because I don't know how clear it is to people. We've certainly talked about it on the show. I don't know how clear it is to people how awful things are right now for queer people, and that cuts across, and I mean that very intersectionally, in the sense of queer people includes like people in every other category as well.
Hmm.
So if we're dealing with anti AAPI hate, well, I don't know what factor you multiply that by when it's someone who's also queer. Um, when you're a woman, you're also queer.
Hmm.
So all of these categories are sort of, there are a lot of different groups of people that are suddenly under increased strain and
Yeah.
stress. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like queer people are really getting hit, and
Hmm.
it's become so commonplace. It has become so, and uh, you know, I will say, I have never in my life, which is very extremely long at this point. Like, it's ridiculous. It's silly. It's too much. I have never in
Never.
my life had the level of, I mean, I hate to say the word fear because that implies sort of that implies a that someone has won something that they're trying to do, because that's what people are trying for. But I think there is a level of fear right now among queer
Mm-hmm.
people that I don't know if straight people are aware of, because it is suddenly constant. And
Yeah.
it's always been a little constant, but
Sure, of course it has.
it is suddenly mainstream.
Yeah.
It is it's people at the top levels of government. Um, it is laws in every state that are, I mean, rights are being trimmed back every day. Somewhere, somewhen, somebody's losing rights that they had before.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not explicitly losing rights because of laws, they're losing rights because they are afraid to come out, or they're
Right.
afraid to, they're afraid to come out in their workplace. Um, just talking about Florida, just over the past couple of days, they've been talking about how, it is classrooms are no longer allowed to have libraries because they're not well regulated enough, and there could be gay stuff in the books. Um, there's if in Florida there are real questions about interpretation and enforcement of the law, but there is an interpretation of the new like don't say gay laws in Florida that um, basically if you're a teacher and your same-sex spouse comes up in a conversation, you could lose your job and be subject to felony charges. If you were the parent, if you're the same-sex parent of a child and you mention that on school grounds, or people get wind of the fact on school grounds that you were there with your same-sex spouse or partner, you could be subject to criminal penalties.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a sort. I don't know what happens if a kid brings up their two moms. I don't know if
I was
they're going
just
to jail
wondering
too.
about that. Yeah.
I don't know. And the fact is, some of these laws are so ambiguously written that
Mm-hmm.
we don't know how they're going to be enforced, because they're so sort of half. They're not.
Well, and you can only imagine if the laws are that vague. Well, maybe they can't send a kid to prison or fine a kid for mentioning two dads or two moms. Maybe they can kick the kid out of school
Yeah.
and interrupt the kid's education,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know?
Um, there's all sorts of wild stuff. I mean, I don't even want to go through it all. The one that came up today was, and this one got voted down. But the fact that it even got to the point that like this went through committees, it got proposed, it got
Mm-hmm.
to the final voting stage, and then it lost. But this was a bill in North Dakota where anyone in the state who referred to themselves by it, I think the terminology was like gender pronouns different from the ones they were assigned at birth, you'd be fined $1,500 every time you did that. Like, just if you're just, I mean, hypothetically, like if you're just walking around your house
Yeah.
and you use different pronouns, I mean, how, that's going to be tough to enforce, obviously. But I mean, the fact that you could just be out on the street and someone hears you use a different pronoun than what you were assigned at birth, and you're going to get a $1,500 fine. And if you do it twice or three times or four times, you know, good luck paying for that.
That is obscene.
And that got voted down, but it didn't.
But that someone thought of that and
And
thought to propose that,
a
and
lot of
it
people voted
went.
for it.
Well, that's the thing. It wasn't just one person who's really mean and awful having this disgusting thought. It was this person going like, "Well, let me throw this out there. Hear me out." Saying it, and enough other people going, "Oh yeah, yeah," for it to get to a vote.
And I think, we've talked about this before. I think when the history of this time is written has been written, I think J.K. Rowling's going to have a lot to. She didn't invent homophobia. She didn't invent anti-trans hate. But I think the mainstreaming of those things back into the suddenly it's okay to talk about those things in polite company once again, where
Yeah.
it had sort of gone out of fashion, I guess, to be openly homophobic and openly transphobic. The fact that it's sort of fashionable again and it's okay
Mm-hmm.
in polite company to be homophobic and be transphobic, I think the mainstreaming of that, I think as someone with her platform and her level of, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think she has used her platform to attack trans people again and again. And I think a lot of the gay people who thought they could jump on board with that and it would distract from them are maybe seeing, if they have that much self-awareness, are maybe seeing that that was very clearly just a slippery slope into
Mm-hmm.
broader homophobia.
Which I believe we pointed out quite early on.
Absolutely. And now, I mean, so the United Kingdom might break up over this. Like, so Scotland's always been a more progressive place than you might think for a place that's mostly sheep and cold weather. Um, and lovely people, by the way, with very appealing accents that I just adore.
Mm-hmm.
Not that not that that's all there is to you people of Scotland. You have many wonderful traits, but those accents, boy, oh, makes my little heart go pitter patter.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
the so Scotland decided that they wanted to basically make it easier for people to change
Yeah.
their gender identity
I did hear
in
about this.
in a not really extreme way, in a way that a lot of other countries in the world already do.
Yeah,
But
it was a very the process was way too complicated, and Scotland was just like, let's just make this normal.
yeah, and generally in being amicable, the English Parliament will generally, if there's a lot of gray area in terms of how Scotland and England interact, right? And there's a lot of things that just like sort of happen and are okay, and they might not be. It's like with our government, there are things that aren't necessarily 100% written down on paper, but this is the way it's
Mm-hmm.
been done. So generally, Scotland would do that, and England would go, okay, that's fine. England's decided that the English Parliament has decided that if they do this, all the transgender people are gonna run across the border and start using all the bathrooms, and it's terrible. So they're blocking Scotland from doing this, which is something that really never happens. Scotland already over Brexit was Scotland had a referendum in like 2014 about leaving the UK, which they voted no on. After Brexit, which Scotland did not love, Scotland wanted to be part of the European Union. They were basically like, you know what? I think we're ready to have another referendum. Um, but legally the English Parliament has to agree to that as well. They both have to agree together to have a vote for Scotland to leave, which is now overwhelmingly popular. And with this latest thing where England is basically saying, no, you can't do the thing, that you can't do the reasonable thing you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
The Scottish people are pretty much like, no, we're ready to leave. So they're trying to figure out a legal way to hold a vote. And if they can't find a legal way to hold a vote, I don't know what they'll do, because I think the Scottish people are pretty much like, you know what, we're fed up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess credit to the Scottish people for maybe not being quite so hateful.
Yeah.
I mean, but the fact that the fact that transphobia has run so wild internationally that the English Parliament is like, well, if the UK burns to the ground, if our United Kingdom
Yeah.
is literally becomes no more,
Yep.
comes to an end over this, then it's worth it, as long as the hypothetical danger of trans people that we can't
Yeah.
articulate. But it's like they're gonna, trans people are gonna come into the bathroom and assault us, which is a thing that cisgender men do. As the Scottish Prime Minister was talking about this, like the idea that someone's going to go through the process of the idea
Yes.
that a man, a cisgender man is going to go through this whole process, that's still a process, just so
Yes.
they can assault a woman, which is a thing that happens regularly
Daily.
anyway.
Daily.
Yeah.
Hourly, I dare say.
And what do they gain from that? Like, how much faster can they assault
Yeah.
women if they go through this process? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Why take all that trouble? Why fill out all the paperwork? Men assault women all the time.
And to blame trans people for, again, there's this assumption that trans people were just invented. So we don't know what's going to happen if we let them out into the world, as opposed to, no, they've always been here. You've just ignored them and pretended they didn't exist. But yeah, the idea that, if we let trans people exist, they're going to do all the stuff that cisgender men do. It's like, well, that stuff's already happening, so I don't know
Well,
why you're not
yeah,
worried about that.
the stuff and no one's worried about that. Like, let's face that.
Yeah.
It's another straw man attack. It's a false flag. It's not true.
And it's hypothetical. I mean, like as we've talked about, I'm sure there are bad trans people. There are bad everybody. I'm
That's
sure
the
there
thing. Trans people are people.
I'm
I'm
sure there are
not all of
danger
them are delightful angels.
right. I'm sure there are dangerous trans people who will commit crimes.
Well,
I mean,
just
that
like
doesn't
any other group of people, there's going to be some jerks, there's going to be some criminals.
I mean, really, if you're going to lock up any group of people and say you can't exist, cisgender men, I think at
I
this point
mean,
have lost the right.
I'm I'm with you.
I
I'm with
mean,
you on that.
I hate to, I don't want to, I want to keep using the bathroom at the mall, but if you're going to keep anybody from like,
If
I need to,
anybody's not allowed to do crimes anymore, if we keep the
right,
cis het guys.
right. So I, again, this is international and it is bad and people are scared. And if you're a straight ally, I think you need to, it's time for people to step up too. It's time for people to be loud. And particularly if you're, particularly if you consider yourself an ally, it's time to stand up and defend people because people are scared. And this is as dangerous a time for queer young people as has ever been in my life because like when I was young, it was you would hide. And that
Right.
wasn't great, but people knew how to hide and there was less
Yeah.
danger. Now, there's less hiding, and it's made people targets.
Right. Yeah.
And people, kids need to be defended and not by burning books from their classrooms. That's all.
Yeah.
That's my story.
I know. That was depressing and
Yeah.
it's all true and it's really it's really so upsetting because I get so frustrated. People have heard me do it on this show before, and luckily we've only got a couple minutes, so I can't spin like I usually do. But all of the false flags being waved around, and it's it's just so hateful.
It's hateful and it's distracting from real problems, which is
Yes.
part of some of it I think is like people will be hateful just because they always want somebody to feel superior to,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I'm not transgender, so I must be better,
Right.
or I'm not gay, I must be better. But then also I think from politicians, it's a really good distraction if you can
Oh
like point at like,
yes.
oh, it's the, oh, look, it's the Jews. Oh, look, it's always,
Yeah.
there's always got to be a convenient group.
Yeah.
And right now it's, and Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are dealing with Jewish people. I mean, there are a lot of groups right now, let's be honest,
Yeah.
that are getting that, but
Yeah. A lot of
um,
things are back in style. Lots of bigotry and hatred
a
is
lot of bigotry and
back
hatred are
on
back in style.
trend.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with all this, but it really feels like we've taken many, many, many steps backwards. And I don't know how that's going to wash out, but people, like I said, especially queer youth are in danger, not just their mental health. I mean, they're in physical danger. There's mental
Yeah.
health danger. And I hope allies and parents and people of good conscience will step up and be vocal and help to help people to get through this time and help people to stop help make people stop attacking people who don't deserve to be attacked.
You know what's always in style, Ross? WAYO, LP Rochester. Keep tuned in. Thanks for tuning into the Sound of Tomorrow today.
Today and tomorrow.
And tomorrow. Can you believe it, Sharman? He thinks we're the same person. I'm shocked and outraged by the perfidiousness of such a dubious allegation. I know. I'm worried about him. Girl, you should be. That level of paranoid ideation is concerning at best.
Hey, Heather, are you here? Oh, hey, I heard voices. Who were you talking to?
Oh, for your information, I was just chatting with Charmin the Cloud.
Um, okay. Oh, really? Well, then where is she?
She was here just a second ago.
Huh. Because I didn't see her leaving.
But she was just here.
Or was she?
Dun dun dun.